Now it's really going to get even more exciting, okay? Because in this time of Kainos, I told you the light that shines the brightest at home shines the furthest in the world, right? We are a mission church. We love the people outside the walls of this church. We love the people inside the walls of this church. That's us, right, too. But we love to make a difference outside the walls of this church. So the next thing that I want to give you, I've told you about our commission. I've told you about our community, and the next thing I want to tell you about is our compassion. Our compassion. That we have a compassionate heart, and we want to share, and we want to give, and so these are some missional endeavors that we're going to do together as a church to change the world. But I want you to get your mind around what we're already doing, and then also tell you some of the things we're going to do. We are already making a huge difference in our city, our nation, and our world. Watch this video with me together as we see what we're already doing and what we're going to do in our compassion.
The nations are coming to Houston, and when we have a faith center in the middle of where they start, that's a pretty powerful place to be. We get to be the hands and feet of Jesus to meet them in their time of need. We have multiple locations in Houston. Center in Spring Branch, we have another one in Faith Center Harwin in the Harwin area. So we have food pantries, we have clothes, we have financial assistance. We have ministries to apartment complexes. We have outreach teams, we have mission training. All of those are geared towards ministering to people, to their needs, and also to their heart. We get to do that in Houston through our church, through our centers, through these faith centers and local missions. We have some big goals. First, in Spring Branch, we're going to do extensive renovation. The property needs help, and it's had an incredible life of ministry, but it's time to do some work to expand and extend that life. We have to replace the mechanical. And then we're going to provide the environment that really helps ministry thrive, for people to come, feel comfortable, and minister to one another. So many people use that space, churches, ministries, multiple organizations, and they all get to work alongside each other in a place. They can invite people over, they can do the ministry they were called to do. For 5 years, we've been at this current property for Faith Center Harwin, which it's been incredible. It's in the middle of a very diverse community, but the thing is the property, it does have some issues that we've got to work on. We need to acquire property for a couple of reasons. First, with our food pantries, we need a better setup to have food come and go. We need to expand our food pantry with the needs that have been coming up in this part of the city. But we also need a place that we can renovate, that we can actually make it a more hospitable and welcoming environment. While it's been a great property all these years, we haven't been able to invest because we don't own it. It's really better stewardship to invest in a property that we own so that we can make it the welcoming place that it ought to be for these ministry partners, these church plants, and even the ministries that we run ourselves out of the space. The organizations we work with, they use our spaces for all kinds of things, for a headquarters, a place to work, a place to do ministry. Some are just coming for a place to grow and develop and even launch from our centers into their own space. And we work with them at all types of levels. We collaborate together, we talk together, and we try to walk alongside each other. But it's all for the mission of expanding the kingdom of Jesus in Houston and beyond the city. And we have impact all over the place, throughout this country and even to the other side of the planet. We have partnerships in this work to engage the unengaged. We can train people here and send them there effectively equipped, ready to do the work. And we can collaborate with short-term teams or even long-term work. And that's pretty incredible that we can use local missions work to equip people for the work overseas. You know, we've had a vision for these centers, and this is it: local missions and global impact. When we think of the ministry and we consider our legacy, the things that we are about, the things that we invest in with our time and our resources, I can't think of a better thing to invest in than this kind of work. We've been told by Jesus to make disciples of the nations, to be a witness, to tell of His power and His salvation to all of these people in our city, all these nations, these ethnic groups. And we get to do that, and by investing in this kind of work and being a part of this kind of work, we get to have that type of connection with Jesus and His command and His work and His commission And that's so valuable, so powerful that we actually get to live out the scripture, the Bible. When he tells us to go and make disciples, our investment into this space, into this area, helps us fulfill that directly. And this is in our city. This is right here in Houston. And we get to make that difference here, and we get to be a part of it together. Kainos has the potential to leave that legacy.
So exciting. When we talk about our compassion, we're talking about loving people by furthering the gospel in our city, our nation, and our world. And I love the fact that you might not realize this, we have just as many campuses as we do faith centers. And that's been really important to me and the staff and the deacon body as well, is that we wouldn't have a whole bunch of campuses in like one little place where we just kind of give food to make ourselves feel better. But that we've got 4 campuses and we've got 4 faith centers that we're able to really make a difference, and that's awesome. And so what we want to do is we want to Faith Center Spring Branch, which is right over on Long Point. We want to do extensive renovations, as Justin said, and to really just get that back up. We feel like we're going to give 25 years of new life to that facility is what we're going to do, of ministry. And then we want to find a building in the Harwin area off of Beltway 8 and Ranchester and all that down Harwin, kind of right before 59 when it hits Beltway 8. We want to buy a building down there so that we can plant a church. And we don't have that building addressed yet. We haven't found that building yet. So be praying for that. Real estate agents in the church, go forth, okay? And find us a building. And so that we can be able to put together and plant a church in there and do some great things, which is going to be really amazing to be able to do that, spending over $6 million on that as well. We love not only our community, but we love the world. So we want to help with being strategic in South Asia, to help ministries that are happening there in South Asia, and to be able to spend about $300,000 there to reach unengaged and unreached people groups. I'm going to tell you a little statistic in just a minute that's going to blow you away, but we want to go out. We want to reach in that way. We love folks, we love kids, right? We love kids and we love those that are struggling. And so what we want to do is we want to continue to love on the orphans and vulnerable children. And so we're going to invest some money. Legacy 68.5 is our church ministry to adoption. We are well over helping 200 kids to be adopted, which is amazing to think about that. We've given millions of dollars away in adoption, which has been incredible. And in the Faith Center over here on Long Point, there's going to actually be a wing of that Faith Center that's going to be dedicated just to adoption. So it's going to be our offices. We got full-time staff, one of the few churches in the country that has full-time staff for adoption. We're going to have a place where there's physical therapy and emotional therapy and all these things to help these kids going through things and the families as well. You know, adoptive parents will tell you, it's not just it ends at the adoption point. There's that parenting part that's a blessing and it also has challenges along with it. So we want to help those folks with that. The places in Kenya, the one in Kenya there, that's a special needs home that we're going to help build a building for special needs children to be ministered to in Kenya. And then the Vine's going to help kids in Uganda as well, which is going to be great. So we're going to invest almost $1 million to be able to do that. We think by some other things we're going to do later on and these things that we're going to do. And I want you to get this, because this is mind-blowing. We think in the next 5 to 6 years that we'll be able to reach 3 to 5% of all the unengaged and unreached people groups in the world from one church. Now get that. Check that out. 3 to 5% of all the unengaged and unreached people groups in the world, we think from this one church in the next 5 years or so, we're going to be able to reach that. And it's going to be some other stuff. We're going to talk about some Bible translation in particular in just a minute. But I just want you to hear that as we're talking about reaching out to the world. The light that shines the brightest at home shines the farthest in the world. Missionaries. We love missionaries. If you love missions, you got to love missionaries, right? Those are the folks that go out. So we're going to, if you've ever been to Hunt Retreats in Brookshire, it's kind of past Katy, we've got some land out there, and we're going to build some cottages out there. They're going to be missionary care cottages. And so they'll be able to come on furlough and be outside all the rigmarole of Houston and get out there. Yeah, cheer for that. That's awesome. And so we're going to build some cottages out there that these missionary families will be able to come because, we put them into different apartments and that's all well and good and a great thing, but we want to even have it a little bit prettier, a little bit more control than just in an apartment complex that we could have to do that. And then when we're not using them for that, we'll be able to flip them and use them for retreats that we have out there. So there'll be multi-use for them that's there. Missionary care and hunt retreat cottages, those things. And then Thrive On Wellness Centers actually started from a group in our own church, Ron and Cynthia Barkley, that are our Sienna campus, and they're going to start a ministry that's going to help missionaries that'll be able to counsel them and help them. Now, this is a bad statistic, but I want you to hear it. 7,000 missionaries come off the field a year. 7,000 come off the field a year. Most of it's for preventable causes. Okay? They get burned out. They feel lonely. Many of your Life Bible Study classes are sponsoring missionaries. Man, pray for them, write them a letter, send them a text, send them an email, whatever it is. They feel alone. Conflicts on teams, and we want to help them so that we can lower that number, right? We don't want 7,000. We're trying to get more people out there, not 7,000 going the wrong way, right? So we want to help in that way. So we're going to be able to put about $1 million into that. As we roll along our Compassion with New Life, we're going to help church revitalization in our city and also in the U.S. We have a long history of helping declining churches, and we want to help those churches. I don't know if you know this, but we don't think we're the only church in town, right? We want to play well with others. We want to help other churches do really, really well. We're going to plant new churches all across the United States as well, and we're going to invest about $800,000 in declining churches and helping to start new churches. Gave a little bit of a hint of this. New Bible translations. There's about 7,300 plus known languages and about 3,900 that don't have a translation in their own language. So we want to be able to help with that. We've got a long history of helping with Bible translations. If you remember a message a few months ago, I stacked up all the Bible translations that we had that we've already done. We want to do more to be able to do that. So we're going to invest some money in that. So that's how we're going to reach these unengaged people groups to be able to do that. So that's an incredible thing. Now, the last idea, and we're about to wrap up, so hang in there, the last idea I want to give you is with this new, Kainos new, we just were like, let's just do something new. Let's do something crazy. I mean, if this isn't crazy enough, what we've already put before you, let's do something crazy and just see what God has for us in this, which is really great to be able to see all the things that the Lord has done in the past, but we want to do new things in the future as well. So what we're doing is the best way, this isn't really spiritual, but it's kind of a Christian Shark Tank is what it is, a new idea. This is what we're doing. We got some team leaders together, and these gentlemen are amazing men of God and great guys, and they're given the charge of this, and they're putting together a template for us. It says in Ephesians chapter 4, equip the saints to do the work of the ministry, okay? So, and I know we're kind of established in the, Christian church in America that we let the professionals, vocational ministers, we do the ministry. But it's really the saints that do the ministry. It's all of us have a ministry to do that. So what we want to do is we want to put kind of some venture capital, right? We want to put some capital and some counseling. So here's what it would look like. Just a little rough template of this. When somebody has an idea in our church of, I've got this ministry idea, then they can meet with a team of our people in our church that these gentlemen will put together. They can meet and they can help them work through a business plan. What do you want to do? What's the ministry idea? And then we could say, you know what? We want to get behind that as a church, and we're going to give you not only resources, we're going to give you counsel, and we're going to walk through this with you to be able to help this ministry birth from our church. Our church has birthed some incredible ministries. Let me show you the next slide. These are some ministries that have birthed from our church. Did you know Memorial Hermann came from our church? It was the Baptist Memorial Hospital System, and it came from our church, right? That's mind-blowing to think about. Now, there was other churches, I'm sure, involved in it, but it's a part of the Red Book, the history book. Every Village, First Place, Freedom Alliance. I see Carol here from First Place doing such a great job with that, getting that off the ground. Charm Ministries, Trinity Classical, Beth Moore's ministry, Star of Hope, Inspire Women. And we could go on and on and on and on of ministry. Just those are some ones that maybe you've heard of. Well, we want to see God do something of just raising this up and making this happen and just seeing God do new things, right? It's Kainos. We want new of watching God do great things. So what are we going to do for our compassion? We're going to invest over the next 2 years, $10 million of new money in the next 2 years of loving the people by furthering the gospel in our city, our nation, and our world. Man, exciting, exciting. So let me give you the math problem as we put this whole thing together, okay? I want to give you the whole thing of what we're trying to do so that we can get this together, okay? We had 3 buckets: our commission, our community, and our compassion. So the first thing I told you about, $63 million over the next 2 years. If we don't do anything but what we're doing, we're going to invest in worthy ministries. Remember the video at the beginning of the night when all those ministries came up? $63 million. $20 million into our community, and $10 million into our compassion, so that $93 million for kingdom purposes over the next 2 years would come not to the church, but through the church to be able to have people's lives changed in an amazing way. Now that's a huge number, right? Yeah, cheer. And that's awesome. That is an amazing thing. And here's how we're going to do it. Is we're making this is going to be a one fund initiative. Now here's what this means. Accountants, listen up, all right? Instead of having you give to the normal operating budget, and then you write a different check over here, and you give to this new stuff we're going to do. What we're going to do as a congregation, and we've done this before, is we want 100% participation. We've seen that with World Mission Offering, how that's blown it through the roof. We want everybody to be involved. We want everybody to give to the work of the church, right? And these are the things we're going to do. So we're going to need new givers to step up that have never given before, right? We're going to need people that aren't walking with the Lord in a real giving's a priority for me. I'm doing all my other stuff and then I'm giving at the end. Needing you to put the priority of giving at the front and then being able to take care of everything else in the back. We're going to need those that are giving faithfully, those that are tithers, and everybody, really, all of us, to all step it up a notch. This is a God-sized task. I don't think we can anybody got 93 million and we'll just end the night? I don't think so. It's going to take all of us stepping up a notch or two, or whatever God leads you, in giving to the church for us to accomplish all these things. Every single one of us is involved. So if you're in a place right now where giving, you're kind of not really there, man, jump on board. This is incredible stuff. Don't you want to be a part of it? And for us to jump out and to say, Lord, do your work through us and through the church to make this difference. You'll hear more about this. I'm going to do an entire series called Kainos. You're going to receive some more information even tonight. And we're going to be able to give. We're going to have a time at Sienna campus that we want everybody to come to on October 24th, that we'll all come, and we'll have an advanced commitment night that if God's laid a number on your heart, we want you to come and be a part of it and then give in that moment. We're going to do some campus events at different campuses. You can see kind of some dates up here, which are going to be great. But I just want you to hear all of us stepping it up and really going for it in a great way. Now, let me give you this. I want to tell you a little story. Kelly's dad passed away in November of this year. And so you may remember that. And if you don't, that's okay. But her dad passed away in November. And then her grandmother passed away earlier in the summer. And it wasn't her dad's mom, it was her mom's mom. So we've had death on both sides of the family. And so when her dad passed away, there's this storage shed in the back area of where they lived and where she grew up. And so that was her grandmother's shed. And so Grayson, my son, he loves old stuff. And so he went back in that shed, and this shed is filled literally with like love letters from World War II written back and forth. I mean, all sorts of things. And it's filled with like every National Geographic known to man. Okay, so if you want a National Geographic, come talk to us, okay? We've got a whole lot of them. If you want to help your family clean out before you die, okay, that'll be another thing that would be really great to do. So Grayson goes through all these things. He's looking at different things, and he finds this card in all of the stuff in Oma. That's what we called her, Kelly's grandmother's shed. This card is a commitment card. Robert E. Mitchell, follow me on this, that's Kelly's grandfather. So Oma, who just died at 102 years old, This was her husband that died. I never met him. He died before I was in the picture. So this is like 20, 30 years ago. I've been in the picture about 25 years now at this point. This is his commitment card. Look at the top. From May 29th, 1921. So he's about 4 or 5 years old at the time of this commitment card. He's going to give $2.50 to end up with a total pledge, this is to a church in Corsicana, of $12.50 is what his pledge is going to be over these years. Now that's amazing. Let me tell you what that is. That's great parenting is what that is. For a 4 or 5-year-old to be talking about it. And students, I see a lot of young faces here. We want you to give your own gift to this, not just be coattailing with your parents, but giving your own gift. Parents, use this to teach your children. Now look at the pledge at the top. In support of, go back. In the pledge at the top, in support of the plans of the ME Church South to establish a thorough system of Christian education and to increase the facilities and to raise the standards of its educational institutions in consideration of subscriptions by others, I hereby promise to pay, blah, blah, blah. Now, we don't have that written on any of our commitment cards, okay? But it's really cool that they're in 1921. What are they trying to do? Same thing we're trying to do, to build a facility to facilitate ministry. Now I want you to look at the back of this card. There's Robert E. Mitchell again. He was also a World War II veteran, I want you to know. Total pledge of $12.50. Look at how it came in. In 1922, he gave $7.50 by the end of that year. Remember, the card was from 1921. 1924, another $2.50 came in. 1926, another $2.25 or 50 cents. Then $12.50, paid in full. Don't you love the beautiful handwriting? Paid in full, this. I want you to know the power that I felt in my heart for my son to hold this card in his hand. This means my wife's family has over 100 years of legacy of giving to God's purposes. Isn't that incredible? 100 years of legacy. And what's incredible is when my son held this card and I was like, wow, absolutely amazing. What happened at the end of the 20s? The Great Depression, the stock market crash. But let me tell you, that $12.50 was spent on eternal purposes, and it did not fly away. And let me tell you the power for my family when we hold a Kainos card next to a 1921 card. Wow. Nobody's probably going to find your card 100 years from now. Maybe they will. But you have an opportunity to have a legacy of giving in your family and your life of something that moth and rust can never steal and can never eat away, and it's giving to the kingdom work of the Lord. So this is prayer and vision. I've given you vision. Isn't it exciting to see what we're going to do in our community? Exciting to see what we're already doing in our commission. Exciting to see what we're going to do in our compassion. And you don't have to fill out anything tonight. This is where you take this card, you'll get it in a little while, and you put it someplace where you can see it, and you can think about it, and you can pray, and you can go to the Lord, and you can maybe even repent before God and say, God, we have not been faithful. And it's time for us to be faithful. And Lord, we want this kind of card to be shown in this kind of card right here.